So, about woolen folk.
Waking up, it's gone. It leaves us feeling cold again. Picking up the stones our hands were made to feel. And moments like these, they show us what we've got when we ain't got a thing. We've got us. We've got us. We've got us.
Hello, and welcome to Rhinebeck. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from Crochet Creations, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is a very special vlog. I am here in upstate New York, currently in Saugerties, and I am going to Rhinebeck and associated festivities. I'm so excited. I'm originally from upstate New York, and so it's really nice to be back here, and I miss New England. I miss our rainy, colorful falls, and it's just the perfect time of year to be in upstate New York visiting with my family. We came out here to visit my parents, and so all of us are now out here, and we're going to be going to associated things in the area together. Today it's me and my dad. It is Friday, October 20th, and like I said, we're in Saugerties. Currently, my dad is doing some work calls, so I am exploring the town, enjoying the views, and just enjoying the small town in upstate New York. I cannot even describe how amazing it is to be here. Feels so much like home. It is very rainy, hence the umbrella, hence my hair is very frizzy. I've got my rain boots on. Hopefully they don't wear down my hand socks too bad, but I just was at a coffee shop, a local coffee shop, getting some hot cocoa and just kind of reading a little bit. Now I'm going to be wandering around, exploring some sites on this main drag in Saugerties. I have a plan. There's a yarn shop called Perfect Blend. It's a yarn and tea shop. So hopefully I can find some fun things there. So I'll go there when they open. I thought it was 10, but Google says 11 for today. I hope they open at 10, but I'll be exploring around this area, going to that yarn shop, and then when my dad's all done with his work calls, we are going to travel up to Woolen Folk for this afternoon. Not sure how long we'll be there, but I'm going to get a schedule when I arrive and decide from there if I want to try to hit up Indian Tangled or what's the other one? Cake Palooza are both happening, and I can get tickets for later in the afternoon. So we'll see how long I decide to stay at Woolen Folk, but that is the plan. So after I do Woolen Folk and then potentially one of the other events going on today, then I will head back to the hotel where we're staying and spend some time with family before doing it all again tomorrow for the actual New York Sheep and Wool Festival in Rhinebeck, New York.
We've got us. We've got us. Taking happiness for granted. Mistakes happen, you and I will learn. And moments like these days show us what we've got when we ain't got a thing. And still we've got us. Still we've got us. Still we've Picking up, it's gone. It leaves us feeling cold again. Picking up the stones our hands were made to feel. And moments like these, they show us what we've got when we ain't got a thing. We've got us. 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 Yes! Taking happiness for granted. Mistakes happen, you and I will learn. And moments like these days. Still we've got.
Oh, it's raining. Woo.
lived in Arizona for 16 years and we had no rails all along.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, Stacy doesn't forget. I didn't forget. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness, that was chaotic. I have done my shopping and I am peopled out. It was very, very hectic. I had to wait in line for the first little bit. Got there maybe at like 12:05, maybe a little later, but I didn't get in until like almost 12:30, just waiting in line. And there were so many people. It was chaotic. It was very claustrophobic, honestly. Not the most enjoyable experience, and I think it wasn't helped that there was so much rain. People kept having to dive back under the tents if the rain got too bad. So there was just like not as much room for people. So that was a little bit hard to deal with. There's so many vendors and the location is really interesting with the cool old buildings, and it was just really great to see lots of makers that I recognize and lots of businesses that were new to me, and to be able to support businesses that are tried and true as well as ones that I've never shopped from before. So that was really awesome. I will have to show you my haul in a little bit. I got quite a bit. Some of it was definitely things I had on my radar, some of it was not, but I'm really grateful that I was able to buy some things here. I'm shopped out, I'm peopled out, and I don't think I'm gonna hit up any of the other festivals going on. I think I'm gonna head back to the hotel, spend some time with family, and just kind of relax before we gear up for another big day tomorrow at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. So nice to be able to see. It was nice, but also a little weird. Kind of like the parasocial relationship thing, like seeing these makers that I've only seen online and seeing them in person and being like, Is it weird to say hi? I made sure to say hi and get pictures with a few people that I was really excited to see. Moving outside my comfort zone to like reach out socially, but then others I just kind of Googled at. It's a unique experience, and there were so many people there. I guess I just felt like maybe everyone would be a well-known maker and I would feel like I didn't belong, but there were so many people there and everyone was so nice. Lots of people commented on my hat and really liked it. This was honestly just an add-on to my outfit because I'm wearing some hand knit socks. I felt like I wanted to wear more knitting. Some people recognized me because of my hat, and so they were able to like pinpoint me out and be like, hey, like, I've seen you before, like I feel comfortable talking to you, like being friendly, which was kind of fun. And I even had one subscriber from my channel that reached out, which was so nice to be able to see someone. That was just really special and sweet. So thank you so much for reaching out. That was really kind to be able to chat with people. I'm more reserved. It's harder for me to reach out and say hi to people, so I really appreciate when people come and say hi to me, whether or not they recognize me from Instagram or from my YouTube channel or what. So I really appreciate those of you who have said hi to me today. So I think we're all set for Woolen Folk, and next time you'll see me, we'll be getting ready for the New York Cheap and Wool Festival in Rhinebeck, New York. Are you taking my yarn?
No. You don't say hi.
What did you say? Georgia, did my yarn talk?
Yeah.
What did it say?
Yay.
Is it so happy that I brought it home with me? Whoa. All right, I think that yarn may need to calm down a little bit. What do you think? Is it time to put the yarn to bed?
Yeah.
Look, they're bringing the sheep out so they can give him a haircut.
So, flip them up, bring your head around, put them on their butt. Now they sit there with their feet off the ground. You don't feel threatened. They're tucked in between my knees. Feel kind of secure. And then she looks up at me and says, okay, don't talk, get it done. So, here we go.
Now they're getting their haircut.
That's for sure the belly. The belly's the dirtiest and most not desirable, please.
They're just giving him a haircut. Sheep are just not good listeners. They can't sit still. Are they talking? What do you think they're saying? Bah. Bah. Emily, and I'm here for finishing out this vlog where I went to Rhinebeck, New York and associated areas for all of the different Fun Fiber events going on. It was my very first time, as I've said before, and I'm glad I went. I went with my family. We flew out to my parents. They live in New York State. We drove with my parents, my husband, and my daughter. We all drove out to that area, the Hudson Valley area, spent a couple days there, drove back, spent a couple more days with my family, and then we came home. It is currently Halloween. It's been a few days since Rhinebeck Weekend. Life just got really busy because my daughter had a birthday. I went right back to work after we came back from our vacation. We had our daughter's birthday party, and I'm just coming off a night shift. This is the time I have. So I'm ready to share with you my haul of what I got at both Woolen Folk and the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. Those are the two events that I went to. After Woolen Folk on Friday, I did not have the capacity, like mentally or socially, to go to any of the like Indie Untangled or the Cakepalooza event that were also going on. So I didn't do as much as I had hoped that I might be able to do, but that's okay. I can always go again another year. It was really awesome that I could go with my mom, and I foresee myself going out for Rhinebeck Weekend again sometime in the future, though definitely would do things very different now that I know. So you've already seen a little sneak peek of my hauls on both Friday and Saturday. So you might recognize some of these items, but I'm going to go through kind of order of events of what I did. So one of the reasons that I was not able to go to Cakepalooza and Indie Untangled was because by the time we decided we would go out to New York and that we could actually hit up these fiber festivals, all the tickets for the morning slots for those two events were already sold out. And so I had free time all that morning on Friday before Woolen Folk started at noon. So my dad and I were planning on spending the day together. We went out to Saugerties, New York, which was where Perfect Blend yarn store was. And they opened a little earlier than normal, which was really fun. So I got to go and visit in there a little bit. After I made a purchase there, I walked back to my dad's car. He was finally done with his meetings. We had a little bit more time to kill, and so the two of us walked back to the yarn store so he could browse a little bit too, and we looked around, and then we went up to Woolen Folk. So let's start from there and show you what I got at Perfect Blend yarn store. Okay, so I bought two things while I was at Perfect Blend yarn store. It is a yarn and a tea shop, which is really fun little mix. It kind of reminded me of Petit Fours and Pearls here in Utah, in Lehi, Utah. There is also yarn store and tea shop, but they have more like tea cakes and like snacky tea things too, not just tea to drink. And they more so cater to the shopping experience, having tea and snacks rather than selling tea for you to take home. So a little bit different. So that was really fun. The one piece of yarn goodie that I purchased, Emma's Yarn was having a trunk show there, which was so fun that I was able to look at all their stuff in person. And I am a sucker for hand-dyed yarn. I think it's so beautiful. I love supporting local makers, and it was really nice. And I really love being able to see the dyer and all their helpers. They're a bigger operation than I realized, and that was just really fun to see them all. This color is called Upstate. I am from technically Western New York, but I tell people I'm from upstate New York because it's easier than clarifying that no, Western New York is not part of the city. It's the whole other side of the state. Anyway, so just these beautiful colors. Let me see. There's some green in there for the fall for sure, but then there's this like rustic brownie pink, this yellow. It just is so beautiful. And you'll notice that there's quite a lot of texture in this skein, and it's because there's actually two skeins together. So this is called the Mo Slub Base. It's two skeins, one skein of the mohair and one skein of the slub that have been wound up together into a good package deal. And they had a bunch of shawl and like cowl options during the trunk show to show what things you can make with just one skein of this Mo Slub, which is technically two skeins of yarn, so that you could make something. And I just thought this was so fun. I've never worked with slub before. I wanted to try it. I love this colorway. And I thought that this was a really nice way to delve into the world of slub by making some kind of a shawl. I haven't picked out a pattern yet, but this is the plan for that. I also bought some rooibos tea. I recently had some on one of my recent podcasts, actually, my first time having it, and I really liked it. And so I wanted to try some more and see if that was something that I would regularly have as the weather cools down. So I got myself a box of rooibos tea, or a tin of rooibos tea. So it's downstairs somewhere, so I don't have it here. But after all that browsing and looking around, and just, it was so fun to see all the makers coming and going, and seeing people in their hand knit or hand crocheted items, and knowing that they were also going to all of these events too. It was so exciting. It would have been really nice if I could have gone to Cakepalooza and Indie Untangled, because they were both in Saugerties, and so that would have been really convenient, but not this year. After that, I went to Woolen Folk. If you are on Reddit, or if you are on Instagram, you probably saw a lot of fallout related to Woolen Folk. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for the tea. I really enjoyed hearing other people's perspectives on their experience, because when I first went to Woolen Folk, I thought it was a me problem that I did not have a good time. That I was too stressed, too overwhelmed, felt too unsafe, felt too disoriented, that I felt like I couldn't shop the way I wanted to. And I didn't want to stay any longer. I thought that was a me problem. Can I gaslight myself? I don't know. I thought it was me because with the pandemic and being home more with my daughter, I've been struggling socially to feel more comfortable in spaces with lots of people and to interact with other people. I thought maybe it was a me problem, and that I just wasn't used to that kind of environment. It was my first time at that event, so I was like, maybe this is just how it is, and I'm not cut out for it, that this isn't a good fit for me. But lo and behold, I was not the only one who had horrible experience. I will not go into too much detail here, because a lot of people have shared their experiences on, again, Reddit, on the Craft Snark subreddit, as well as on Instagram. And also there's some good YouTube videos that'll give you some rundowns. But I'm going to share with you a little bit of my experience and what I've heard, just to share a little bit. Quick rundown if you are not aware about Woolen Folk. And again, I'm not the end all and be all. Definitely go check out some resources. I'll give you some links down below, both for more information on what happened at Woolen Folk, so you can understand the shortcomings and maybe what to look for in a fiber festival, so that you can have a better and safer experience. But then also some resources to help the vendors who had a worse time than I did participating in this festival. And so financially, they need a lot of support too, because they lost a lot of money doing this event. My notes. I did not film hardly anything when I was there, because it was just so claustrophobic. I didn't know, I just didn't have the space to use my gimbal to feel comfortable filming. I felt like I had to go in and out as fast as I could, and even then it took me way longer than I thought it would. There was a lot of stopped traffic because there were just so many people trying to move through spaces. It was not safe. Someone had mentioned online, if there had been an emergency, if someone had fallen down even, it would have been mayhem. And that's for me as an able-bodied younger person that doesn't have concerns for falling or claustrophobia or anything like that. I was still very uncomfortable and not feeling safe. I can't imagine what that would have felt like for someone who has more mobility needs than I do. The amount of film that I have is very limited. I did kind of a quick rundown at the very end, but it was just not what I was hoping to get when I decided to go to Woolen Folk. The venue was not big enough at all. It was so small. I heard that there was an estimated 3,000 tickets sold. There was not nearly enough space for that. And they had 4 food trucks for 3,000 people? That does not sound like a good fit. I realized at 3 o'clock that I had not yet eaten, because I'd tried so hard to see all the vendors. I was like, oh man, I need to eat something. The lines were just way too long, even at 3 o'clock. So I just left and hit McDonald's up on my way back to the hotel. So not ideal. And having so many people in such a small space, both indoor and outdoor, the square footage was just so small. It was not safe. Fire exits were blocked. There were some random vendors on the 5th floor of one of the 2 buildings, and there was one teeny tiny elevator. And honestly, I went up to the 5th floor because I walk a lot upstairs for my job, and so I try to make myself take the stairs. But a lot of people who are otherwise physically fit and able to walk around, that is still too much to do, to walk up and down 5 flights of stairs. Like, that is too much. And so having one little elevator to try to get up to see those vendors was also not working. It was not working and not accessible. If you have one little sliver of accessibility, but the need is so high, the demand is so high that like that option is not accessible. That is not accessible as a whole. I already mentioned that I just felt so claustrophobic. There were so many people. It didn't feel safe. I didn't have the space to spread out. There were a lot of times I was just like in the crush of people, and it didn't make for a good shopping experience. I didn't want to shop a lot, especially at the bigger name booths, because there were just too many people and I could not handle that mentally. It just didn't feel good to me. You want to create, when you have a fiber festival, you want to create an atmosphere and an environment where people will want to spend money and support the makers. I paid $50 for my ticket because I thought the shopping experience would be amazing and the atmosphere would be amazing. I was told that there would be live music, that there would be tons of food options, that there would be amazing vendors. The organizer did not deliver on live music, 0 live music at all. There was not space to just mill about and enjoy the atmosphere. It was just, they did not deliver, and it was not worth a $50 ticket. I would never go back to Woolen Folk again from my personal experience. Like, it was not the kind of shopping experience that I wanted. And I'd heard that the other 2 events that day, Indie Untangled and Cakepalooza, were much better experiences because they had been going on for longer, were more organized, and they also staggered tickets so that there weren't too many shoppers at once, so you could have a good experience. From my personal experience, I was like, I don't think I want to do that again. But it gets worse. The vendors had a horrible time with this event and the organizer themselves. And so because of that, on principle, I will not shop at Woolen Folk ever again. And I think a lot of other people have said the same, that they will not shop and they will not vend at that event, even if some changes are made, because the organizer just fell so short and has not addressed the issues presented in an appropriate way. So from what I've heard about the vendors, it was $900 for a 10 by 10 square foot space, which is astronomical. Even for huge events that I've been to for a craft market, $500 was like the most I've ever seen for a booth. And that was for like the big craft fair for the whole year, like the biggest craft fair. So $900 is already really high. And then if you paid for a double booth, $1,800. That is a lot of money to dish out, to have the organizer not promote your vendors on your website or online in social media, to not get the space that you paid for, to be squished into a smaller space than you paid for, and not be reimbursed for that shortcoming. There were so many stories of people who were squished into weird corners, who were blocked off from the shoppers because of where their booth was located, who were placed in front of fire exits, which is not safe. People who, there was one balcony that is basically like as wide as a hallway. It was not very wide, like a hallway in a house, and they had to set up their tables along that balcony. Not safe, not accessible. You couldn't even get one person through, like walking past the tables, because people were at the table shopping. Like, there wasn't enough space in that aisle. It was not good. And there was a last minute venue change. Apparently it had been at an orchard previously, or that was the plan, so there would have been a lot more space. The organizer told the vendors that the space change was made pretty last minute so that everyone could be inside. That was not the case. I would say half, if not more than half of the vendors were still outside under tents and tarps. And because they were all told they'd be inside, no one came prepared with their equipment because they were not told appropriately. And that is definitely a failing on the organizer, who would know the square footage of the space that they were renting. And so they should have known there is no space for all these vendors. Lots of carelessness that makes it seem like the event organizer just didn't care about these vendors, didn't care about the shoppers, didn't care about safety, did not care about anything but them getting money in their pocket, honestly. People weren't prepared to be outside. They weren't given booth location assignments, so it was kind of a first come, first serve. If you knew the event organizer closer, then you could get a better spot kind of thing. So that hierarchy was not appropriate. And then people were outside under tents. They had to scrounge to try to get enough outdoor equipment to cover things, to get enough tarps. It was woefully inadequate. When I was there, there was cardboard on the ground covering up mud puddles to try to make it a little bit safer. No, it wasn't. It was not a good solution. I mean, I guess it was a solution. It was better than nothing, but it was not good. There was mud everywhere. A lot of merchandise got wet, got soiled with mud because they did not have enough cover for the amount of stock that they had. They didn't have enough tarps. They didn't have enough things to keep their stuff safe because they didn't come prepared because they were told they didn't need it. Sorry, I'm getting angry on their behalf. There was some huge parking issues with the town of Catskill, which is where it was held. And basically, we were just told, oh, here's a couple public parking places. The town was not notified of how many attendees there would be. There was not accessible ADA parking, even though they were told there would be. The organizer literally said on their Instagram that they had a shuttle from a couple bigger parking areas, like local parks, and I think the Walmart or something. I don't know. Not that you can like tell people to park there, whatever, but they would send a shuttle to pick people up at the common parking spots, and that shuttle would be ADA compliant, would have a lift for wheelchairs. No, it did not. People had to disassemble wheelchairs in order to fit on the shuttle. That is not accessible, especially when you've promised that you are. There's been lots of people talking about how rude, unhelpful, etc. that this organizer was to them as they've brought forward concerns both before the event, like where is my booth space going to be? Do you have a map? Am I going to be inside or not? Like, give me the information. What time do I need to be there to set up? Anyway, you can read a lot more about people's experiences on both Instagram and on the Craft Snark subreddit. I'll definitely include some links below so you can learn more about people's experiences and hear not just from me, but from other people. I had a bad time as a shopper. I did not want to come back, but I am an able-bodied person with the whole day on my hands, and so I could suffer through it. Someone who's differently abled than me, or who had other mobility concerns, or even like claustrophobia, social anxiety concerns, like this was not a safe event. And first and foremost, an event like that should be safe. So regardless of all the other failings, I feel like that's the biggest one, that it was not safe and that the vendors were not respected. So those are like the big two issues from Woolen Folk. And I saw it and I didn't realize when I was there how bad it was for the vendors, how bad their experience was. And I'm glad that I've read some of their stories and that I can feel confident in saying I will never support Woolen Folk or any other events that organizer puts together. They came out with an apology. Their first apology was written with grammar and spelling issues, which shows that they didn't put enough care in after 4 days of not hearing anything from this organizer to put forward this apology that didn't actually have any action items and was also not proofread. It just felt like they didn't care. They took it down, put up a new one that had fixed almost all those proofreading errors, but it still didn't have any action plans for what they would do differently, how they would improve things, not just in the immediate, like refunding the vendors when they didn't get the spaces that they had paid lots of money for, but also what they would do for next year. They said we would be better. It was very nebulous, it was vague, not cutting it. That's Woolen Folk. I did make a lot of purchases though. I was there for a long time. I really made sure to see every single vendor if I could, and it wore me out. So I was thinking about going to Indian Tangled or Cakepalooza after Woolen Folk, but I did not have the stamina after being in that atmosphere. Ooh, I talked about that for a long time. We'll see if I cut any of that out. First and foremost, when I got there, the line was horrible. They had like one main gate and they didn't tell us that there was any other place to check in. So we just waited in line for forever. Like I was in line for probably 20, 30 minutes. And I got there literally at noon or like 12:03 or something. And my dad just dropped me off and I waited in line for a long time because they only had one person actually scanning tickets and checking people in. It was not a good process. Oh man, sorry, still complaining. First and foremost, I needed to go to the restroom. They didn't have any maps. They didn't tell me where to go. I had to like wade through people in the buildings to try to find where in the world the restroom was. Thankfully, I found it. Then my next task was to find a tote bag that I could use to hold my yarn goodies. I didn't come with a tote bag, and so I wanted one. And Nitty Netty had mentioned this maker on last year's Rhinebeck vlogs that she did, and so I kept an eye out for this maker. This is Krista Jekyll, and I got this cute sheepy bag. It is just a regular tote. I had kind of hoped that I would get the drawstring one, and the colors I wanted were not in the drawstring one, but it's got like a wax canvas bottom. It's a nice and big tote, nice and sturdy. These sheepies are so cute. The only problem is because it was raining, my bag got a little wet, and so the color bled a little bit, but that's not the maker's fault because that happened after I'd purchased it, and that was my own fault. But still a very usable and adorable bag. So I was able to then browse the yarn, try to find some things that would bring me joy that I could add to my stash. Okay, I started outside because honestly, the trek to get to the bathroom was so stressful and so claustrophobic that I was like, I have to be outside even though it's rainy. I was like, I cannot be inside shopping right now. This is too much for me. So I went back outside. First place I went to was this new to me dyer, Lily Loops. So pretty. This colorway is called Madonna American Pie. I think it's based off maybe like a movie cover or like a TV series cover. Anyway, the colors are beautiful. Pink, purples, lavenders, creams. Oh my goodness. I bought 2 skeins of this so I can make some kind of project. A shirt, a sweater of some sort. I'm not sure. I'll hold it with something else. This is their mohair base and I love it. Like this colorway, I just like, I like saw it immediately, loved it. I walked around a little bit more and I was like, nope, I have to go back. Like I cannot leave that. I cannot leave that. I need to bring that home with me. So I bought 2. And you'll notice I'm definitely a pastel girly. Okay, the next place that I went to was also a new to me dyer, Dymad Yarns. Oh my gosh, super, super cute. It would have been really funny, but I didn't get it. They had these, like a sheet of magnets that were this like goose and then different clothing items you could put on the goose so that you could dress up your goose with magnets. I don't know, it was super cute, but I did not get that. This is their Chester sock base. It's a 75/25 merino nylon and the color is opal. They're doing like a monthly birthstone club. I'm not an opal birthstone. I am a topaz. I was born in November, but I love opals. They're probably one of my favorite stones and these colors are amazing. So gorgeous. So I had to take this home with me. After that, I was brave enough to go inside one of the buildings and I found, again, new to me dyer. This is the great part about fiber festivals. And honestly, I've complained a lot about Woolen Folk, but the best part was meeting different makers, both people that I follow on Instagram and also new to me makers. It was just amazing, the community. And no matter how horrible the event was, the community was the best part. But also, no matter how great the event is, the community is the best part. So, kind of interesting to think about. But 316 Dye Studio, this sock set is called the Warm Winter Day sock set, and it just looked so cozy. Again, pastel-y, purples, reds, yellows. Like, I have a color palette, but this just made me think of like cozying up on a snow day, inside, warm drink, reading a book. It just was like all the warm, cozy vibes I wanted. So I had to bring that home. And then they also have these socks, super neat. They are botanically dyed. And these socks are not like hand cranked or anything. They are 94% bamboo and 6% spandex socks. And they use natural dye and flowers to make this design. These are literally flowers that have been used to dye the socks. So that was a really cool find. I need to wear these, but I wanted to show them to you in all their beautiful glory first. So I bought those. So exciting. Oh, I guess I also, from Dymad Yarns, I also got this cute kitty that was all wrapped up in a skein of yarn. As you can hear my kitty jingling around. He's just exploring and sniffing all of my yarn right now. I ventured to the other building, which was the source of the chaos that had stressed me out when I was trying to find the bathroom. And I saw Lavender Loon right by the door. I'd seen this yarn on my way to the bathroom, and I'm glad I went back to get it. This colorway is called Shepherdess, and it's a 75/25, but the nylon is recycled, which is really cool. Every little bit counts in trying to be more sustainable. But Lavender Loon, I think I have a random skein from my stash I bought at a local yarn store, but they've since updated their labels, and I'm really excited to get to this. This is a beautiful, like, fall-ish transitional color, like fall, summer to fall, or like even a spring to summer color could be. Love, love, love. I also found, and this was actually one of the last purchases I made, but it was in that same building. I didn't realize that Earthtown's girl, Denise, did another special colorway with Woolens and Nosh. I bought her Falling in Love colorway last year in a pre-order after all of these festivals. Denise was there. That was so awesome to see her. She's a lovely presence. And she coordinated with Woolens and Nosh to make this colorway. This is Love. So pretty. And Woolens and Nosh had a lot of great colorways, and I couldn't necessarily pick. And I wasn't going to go home with like 5 or 6 skeins. And so I settled for this one, but I definitely want to shop from Woolens and Nosh again. I made the trek up to the 5th floor, and honestly, because it was not accessible, there were fewer people, so it was not a horrible shopping experience, though it was really warm up there. So definitely had to shed some layers while I was perusing around. But I purchased this little, what is this called even? I don't know what you would call this. This is from Cottontail Farms. Look at these cute little hedgehogs. And this is a little like 1 skein size basket. This was originally for like a spinning wheel as like an accessory on the spinning wheel. I'm not a spinner, so I'm not exactly sure how it was used. But then I think Nitty Natty or maybe someone else realized that you could fit 1 skein of wound yarn in there, and it's perfect for like attaching to your bag or attaching to something else, so you can have your little skein project. And so I've been eyeing it. Definitely needed to grab one, so I grabbed this one. It's got like a snap so you can unhook it, hook it around something else, close it off so you have it hanging from like your purse or your backpack or something. So I had to get one because I love me some crocheting and knitting on the go. And then also while I was up there, a subscriber actually said hi to me, which was so amazing. And it has now been like a week and a half, and I cannot remember your name. I'm so sorry, but it was so special to have someone come up to me and say, I know you, I recognize you. And I was like, do you? Because I have one of those faces. And so sometimes people say they think they recognize me when I really don't know them. But she was like, Emily from YouTube. And I was like, oh my gosh. So thank you so much for saying hi. That honestly made my day to have someone acknowledge me and say hi to me and know my name. That wasn't just a face in a random crowd, and that, you know, we were all in it together in this Woolen folk chaos. That was really sweet. So thank you so much for reaching out and saying hi. And then I trekked back outside to pass all the booths that I had missed on my beeline to the bathroom. So this is Botanical Yarn. They came all the way from England, I think. They were in the UK. I know that for sure. I bought the sock set that was exclusive to the festival, 75/25, superwash merino and nylon. It's called the Woolen Folk 2023 exclusive sock set, but you can tell I love the warm colors, creams, pinks, yellows, all that stuff. It also has a cute little stitch marker that came with it. I loved it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I also found this new to me maker, Flora Adora Fibers, naturally dyed yarns. So this was really cool. I got 2 skeins of this, and this was, let's see, this is 50% BFL, 50% Rambouillet. So the label says sweet black walnut was the dye, meaning they use sweet cherry wood, I think I remember, and black walnut wood, and use those to create this dye color. It's beautiful. It's a really nice neutral brown. I saw this one color that I adored that was lighter than this, that just used the sweet cherry wood, but it was too close to my skin tone. So I was like, I'm gonna go with 1 shade darker, and I still think it's beautiful. It'll make a great hat. So I'm really excited about that. I love using more rustic-y yarns, especially for hats, just to be nice and cozy, nice small project to support a spinner or like a local farm. Woolen Folk was definitely more geared towards indie dyers, but it was really cool to see this naturally dyed yarn. I love that. My final stop, and one of my favorites for sure, was at the massive booth that was Pacific Knit Co., Fangirl Fibers, and Yarnaceous Yarns all together. They all chipped in and had this booth. It was catered towards Jamie Lomax's doodle patterns because both dyers had worked with her on some collaborations with yarn colors. I grabbed Fangirl Fibers. I've never purchased from her before, actually. So I grabbed this set, which is the Autumn in Stars Hollow doodle bundle. So it has one big main skein and a lot of cute little minis because I saw the Rhinebeck cowl that Jamie made out of these colors and I was in love. I needed these colors. I don't know what I'll make, but I needed these colors, so I bought that. And it was fun to see Jamie and to show her my Rhinebeck doodle cowl that I tested for her and to chat with her and a couple of the dyers in the area. I got to see Moonglow, Whitney of Moonglow Yarn, which was really fun to see her in person because we've been interacting online a little bit. The best part, seeing faces that you're like, wait a second, I recognize you. You're someone I know online. Like, now I don't have to know you just online. So that was really cool. And I also purchased a couple cute stickers. This Ghostie's my favorite. It's so cute. My daughter really wanted it, but I said, no, it's mine. I should have bought her one too, I guess. If I had only known. I also bought the Rhinebeck Doodle deck. Super cute. More as like a souvenir because I have the pattern already from testing. I also purchased the Winter Doodle deck. I honestly could have bought all like 4 or 5 decks that she had, but I didn't want to spend that much money in one go. But I bought the Winter Doodle deck so that if I make any like Christmas stockings or Christmas socks or anything, I can use these. That's the plan. We'll see if I get to that this year. Time is moving too fast, honestly. So there is my haul from Friday at Woolen Folk that stressed me out, that overwhelmed me, that was not safe, but had the most amazing company. And it was so great to see people, both that I knew and both that I've just been like lurking online. Some bigger names that were really fun to just say, hi, I love your stuff. And this is amazing to say hi to you and to see that you're a real person and to tell you that I appreciate the art that you do. So that was really cool. Next day, we went to Rhinebeck and I am running out of time. I have to go to my daughter's Halloween party at her daycare. So I need to run. I'll come back to this maybe today, maybe tomorrow, actually. We'll see if I get any more time this evening to film my New York Sheep and Wool Festival haul. All right, I am back and I'm in my Halloween costume because I went to Georgia's Halloween party at daycare. We are both being witches. Hence the look. I do not have a lot of witchy makeup on, so you do what you can, right? But now it's time to talk about the actual New York Sheep and Wool Festival that happens in Rhinebeck, New York. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but when people talk about going to Rhinebeck, they are referring to that general area. They're going to at least one, but maybe some of the fiber festivals and other auxiliary events that go on in that region of the country. It's in upstate New York and kind of around the Hudson River area. I don't know if it's specifically the Hudson Valley because I'm not super familiar with that area of New York State. As someone who's from Western New York, I would call it the Hudson River Valley area. But going to Rhinebeck means going to any or all of those events that happen that weekend in October. And this is because the original festival, the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, is in Rhinebeck, New York, and it's kind of started this whole big thing. It is like the place to go. Lots of big names go there as far as vendors. There's also tons of local vendors too. A lot of bigger names also attend for their enjoyment, and people will travel from even around the world to attend, which is really cool. It's just kind of blown up. I don't know why people pick the one in Rhinebeck, New York as the fiber festival that everyone is going to. There are definitely other big yarn festivals and even other small ones that are really high quality, that are really well run, that have lots of really great vendors and people visiting. But for some reason, the one in Rhinebeck, New York is the one that people have attached themselves to. So when people talk about Rhinebeck, it's about any or all of those events happening that weekend. A lot of the events happen on Friday, the ones that I am most familiar with. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the actual New York Sheep and Wool Festival happens. It's at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds. And we only went for Saturday because I wanted to get back on Sunday. Did not want to go to the festival for 2 days in a row. So we just did all day Saturday, and we were planning on having just my whole family there for the morning, and then after a couple hours, when maybe Georgia was sick of things, that my husband and my daughter could go off and do something else. Maybe even my dad, just kind of leave my mom and me to shop and enjoy our time there. But actually, everyone ended up staying the whole time until maybe 3:30 or 4. We stayed pretty late, but not quite so late that we got stuck in too bad of traffic, which was really perfect timing, actually. Highly recommend leaving just an hour or so earlier than the end of the festival, because it was really perfect for us. I guess I forgot to show this in my Woolen Folk haul, but this is a bag that I got as a free gift for purchasing from the big massive Pacific Knit Co, Fangirl Fibers, and Yarnaceous Yarns mega booth that they had. I spent enough money that I got a free bag, and I used this bag at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. It's this nice shiny, it says, in my defense, sorry, I'm trying to read it backwards. In my defense, I was left unsupervised and the Fiber Festival was open. Kind of funny. I don't think I would have paid for this bag, but I think it's cute. The handles are nice and sturdy after lugging around stuff through a day and a half of Fiber Festival shopping. It was waterproof, which is perfect. I really needed that, especially for the next day. I already had my one tote full of some things, and so I told myself I would bring this much yarn and things back from the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. I did go a little bit beyond this capacity, but not too much. So let's show you what I got at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. It was also really rainy, but this festival has been going on for a really long time, so it is running really smoothly. I think the only thing is there's lots of people that go, but there's lots of outdoor space too, which helps. Even with the rain, we were able to get a lot more air space than at Woolen Folk. And there were definitely way more places to sit down. If the weather had been nicer, it would have been perfect. And we definitely could have all spread out. I think the barns and structures were a little bit more full because of the rain, but not nearly as bad as Woolen Folk had been. So I definitely felt more comfortable doing more filming there. It's definitely still very busy. There's definitely a lot of people. So if you have social anxiety or claustrophobia or any issues with being that close to people, just know that coming into it. And then if you have more mobility or accessibility concerns, it's not perfect. I mean, people meet up on the hill, and that's not accessible to take a wheelchair up the hill, right? But there are paved paths everywhere, and a lot of the barns are easy to get in and out of. There's still definitely a lot of people to navigate, and so that might be difficult for you. So maybe a smaller festival might be a better fit, or go when the weather's really nice, and so everyone will spread out a little bit more. So let me share with you what I got while it was at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. And like I said, there were a ton of more local farms, local dyers, local companies, lots of local farms and spinners and stuff. It was really cool to see how many local farms there were. Lots of natural fibers in that sense. There were also quite a lot of dyers that I didn't recognize, or other companies that I did recognize, really big names. And it was just a really interesting mix, very different than the Woolen Folk, or even what I've heard of Indian Tangled and Cakepalooza. Just very different vibes. It felt more conservative, less cool kids club, less indie, and it felt very much there were people all over that were just appreciative of fiber and the fiber arts, so not necessarily all makers. There were definitely some people there with just their families that were there for the animals, that could appreciate the art, and so there was actually finished objects you could buy and things, which you don't typically have at a fiber festival, but this festival catered to more the general public who would appreciate these arts. So that was a really cool different vibe than the experiences I've had in my past, which was really neat. I told my husband that he needed to let me know if there's anything I could make him, because I just barely finished his cardigan a month or so ago. I finished his cardigan for his birthday, and it looks really, really nice. It was a lot of work, but I'm so happy with how it turned out, and he really loves it too. I wanted to let him know that I could make something else for him. Probably not a cardigan, but if there's anything else he wanted me to make, I would be happy to do so. He told me he would love to have fingerless mitts, and he told me to surprise him with the color, but that he really liked the feel of more rusticy yarns. He wants a soft yarn, but still that rustic toothy feel. And so I am going to try Primrose Yarn Co. This base is the Rowan DK base and the color is called Oasis. It's this perfect like mossy green. He loves green and it is really soft. Oh, this is superwash and non-superwash mixed. 60% American superwash and 40% domestic non-superwash. Both are merino. I don't know what the difference between American and domestic? I don't know. Someone asked me in the booth, they're like, do you know? And I'm like, I don't know what the difference would be. I have to check the website, but I love this mossy green color. I think my husband will really like it. I need to find a good pattern. It's like this is a DK weight. So I'm sure I can find a fingerless mitt pattern that I can try to make for him. Fingerless mitt or like mittens with like the thumb open, I think he said would also be, because that's how he scrolls, is with his thumb on his phone. So we'll see how that all turns out. I don't have plans to make that for Christmas or anything, but I could, especially because it's a smaller project. I just have not decided. So I should probably look into this and see if I am itching to cast this on right now, or if I should make it as like a later project. I'm not sure, but this is going to be for my husband. I also grabbed, because it was calling to me, it was beautiful. I tried looking at other options in this vendor's booth, but nothing else was really like calling to me like this was. So this is Cannon Hand Dyes. Oh, where'd my yarn go? Where is my yarn? So this is Dragonfly Fibers and Cannon Hand Dyes. So I guess it's like a collaboration or something with them. I'm not quite sure. I bought this like micro set. This is the colorway Antique Rainbow, single ply merino base. So it's 100% superwash merino, 2-ply yarn. So it's not the high twist that I like to do for socks. I was trying really hard to find like the sock base and they did not have it in this color, but like I couldn't go home without this color palette, even though there were some other really beautiful rainbows that were also gorgeous. But this is the one that really called to me. It says 20 yards per color, so they're like itty bitty, maybe math, like 5 grams ish, probably like 4 to 6 grams ish for these, all these different little colors, beautiful rainbow. And I decided, since I couldn't make socks or anything with it, that I could buy this, which is like the same base, 100% superwash merino. It is the color Parchment, I think, but it's the same base in this pretty neutral color. And I thought that these would go really well together to make like a cowl, maybe a hat, probably a cowl, because I don't need to stretch as much. So that was like the first thing that I was like, I can't go home without this. Let me figure out what kind of project I can make so that I can be prepared. I also bought, this is a new to me indie dyer, Dachshund Daddy Knits. And my mom actually was the one who saw this booth and really fell in love with it and made sure that we circled back and visited them again to actually make a purchase. And she bought a few things from them too. I bought this. This is the Top Dog Silky Yak base, a base I've never tried, 30% yak, 40% silk, and 30% muslin-free merino. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but this is a sock weight yarn. It is so soft. I'm not sure what I will make. Maybe a cowl or like a shawlette, Sophie scarf-ish type. I don't know. Something of the sort, but it was very soft. I didn't want to leave it behind. I really wanted to grab something to support this dyer because they were really, really good, like interacting with me and my mom, and they were just so friendly. And my mom was having a grand old time, and I was like, I need to support this dyer. And they had mentioned this space that was, I think, newer to them, but it's so soft, so luxurious. It was definitely on the more expensive side, so I only grabbed one skein, and we will see what I end up making with it. But something that has to touch my skin because it feels so good. I also grabbed, this is a new to me dyer and really interesting concept of yarn. So this is fiber optic yarn. It's a gradient. And these colors are really pretty. Let's see, the colorway is called Tulip Mania. And it's definitely a more expensive skein. I think it was, yeah, $50 for a skein of sock yarn. It's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon, which would typically not be $50. But this entire 100 gram skein is a gradient from start to finish. Mind-boggling how that all works. They had some samples like knit up. It looked beautiful. Like it looked like all the different gradient sections were really even. I was sold. I will probably make a shawl with this. I may hold it with like a black or something so that I can have like a good color work contrast shawl. I'm not sure, but it was beautiful. I wanted to try the concept because I've never seen a yarn like this before. Okay, my last yarn purchase, I really wanted to grab a sweater quantity. When I look back at all my purchases, a lot of really small projects, socks, unknown things, cowls, shawls, etc. Like lots of smaller projects, like 1 or 2 skeins. I really wanted a sweater that I could make with the Rhinebeck yarn. I thought that nothing had really stood out to me until I saw Miss Babs. I have never purchased from them before or used their yarn, but I thought they would be a great place because they have these massive skeins. They're huge. The Yowza skeins. This is DK weight yarn, 560 yards. So is that 2 skeins or like 2.5 skeins? I don't know. They're huge, and I figured this would be great because then I could make a garment of some sort. And so I bought 3 of these oak moss just to be safe and secure and know that I'm good to go. And then I bought 2 of these smaller ones. This is a Yowza mini, and this is 200 yards. So I bought 2 of these. The pattern I'm planning on making is the Downtown Hoodie by Tori Yu. And I'm going to use these as like the stripe, and it's going to be like this bluish, greenish, sagey color for the main body. And I just wanted to make sure, because like the numbers were like cutting it really close with having just 2 skeins of this, that I wouldn't have to worry about like it being too cropped for me or like feeling like I couldn't do the hood or something. So I'm like, I'll just do all 3, then I won't have to worry. I'm definitely set to go. So 1 sweater quantity out of all the yarn that I picked up from Rhinebeck. And then maybe in a future visit to the festivals around Rhinebeck, New York, I could wear this sweater. That would be really cool. I don't have plans necessarily for next year, but it's always a possibility. Oh, and I got this cute little micro from Miss Babs as well. They threw that in, and I think there might have been a stitch marker somewhere. I'm not sure where it went, but they had a couple little like sample cards, which is really fun. I also made sure to stop by, is it like Merrill Books, I think? Anyway, there was like a big area, like a quarter of a building where there was like all the books, magazines, books, lots I'd recognize, lots I didn't recognize, lots that were fiber related, but also some that were more like adjacent crafts or just crafts in general. So it was really interesting. There were kids books there too, some common craft books and kits, you know, where you buy like, you can make like 2 Harry Potter characters with like the yarn that comes in this little like package kind of thing. But there's like a book with like 15 patterns. They had stuff like that there too. So I grabbed a few things while I was there. This book is one I've had on my eye, A Stash of One's Own by Clara Parks. It's honestly not very long at all. It says Knitters on Living with, and Letting Go of Yarn. I am very fascinated by the idea of stash, choosing what to incorporate in your life, why you keep it in your life, what makes you decide to keep it versus get rid of it, what makes you decide to use it versus not, how your stash can inspire you, all those types of thoughts. And so I thought this would be a fun read. And I'm also thinking about doing a series on this channel because I've really loved reading recently, and I do want to share that more here on YouTube. And so I'm thinking that it would be really fun to do like book reviews and magazine reviews, and to do little videos talking about things that I read, so that if you are a fiber artist who also loves to read, I can maybe find some really great recommendations for you of either good resources or really good reads that you might enjoy as a fiber artist. So that's kind of a thought I have. So let me know what you think about that. I also grabbed the Knitting Pattern Writing Handbook. I think this is a pretty new book that just recently came out. I have designed a lot of patterns. I feel pretty comfortable designing patterns, but there's definitely things that I could learn better, especially with like grading, having different sizes, and how body shapes change at different sizes, different considerations to take into account when you're like calculating measurements and how they relate to one another, things like that, that I felt like having a reference guide would be really helpful, just to help me learn a little bit more to really up my patterns another notch. And then my final purchase from the New York Sheep and Wool Festival was Pom Pom Magazine's newest issue. This is the monochrome issue. So many gorgeous patterns. This one on the cover, oh, love it. Let me find some other pictures of patterns that have been catching my eye because I've seen them on the Instagrams. I think that one on the cover, probably because it's my colors, but there's probably others too. This hat is beautiful. Oh my goodness. I love the low contrast actually for that. Okay, this scarf is crazy. I love that. That's such a fun texture. I don't think I would ever make that. An anju. Look at that. It's like this really cool take on like plaid. It's really different. I love that. You can see that any easier. So cool. Ooh, a blue version. I love it. Oh, a skirt. I love this. Look at that shaping on the hip. Looks like it'd be nice and comfy. That one that I love. I hear banging and I think that's my daughter playing around. This fun color blocked scarf. So cute. Oh my gosh, these are some fun socks. Look at that. So lots of really great patterns. I don't have every copy of Pom Pom for the past couple years, but I have like 1 or 2 issues a year that I make sure to grab because there's so many cool patterns, either that I really want to learn about, like either the technique's really interesting or something that I can see myself wearing. So I make sure to buy it. And I think Pom Pom does a great job. That is everything from not only my New York Sheep and Wool Festival haul, but that is the whole video for my Rhinebeck weekend, my very first Rhinebeck weekend. Things I would do differently, not go to Wool and Folk. I just hope and pray that the weather would be nicer when I go because I think that'll be more enjoyable. Wear better shoes because I wore rain boots because of the rain and my feet were killing me by the end of 2 days. I think bring my own tote bags would be great. Have more plans on what to make and what to look for because there was just so much yarn and other supplies that like it was inundated. I couldn't possibly like look through everything and decide, oh, I want to take this home or I don't want to take this home. You can't possibly bring home everything you like. And so having a better plan of what to buy would have helped me kind of narrow down and not feel so overwhelmed by the sheer amount of choices of beautiful yarn because it was all beautiful. Apple cider donuts. I did, in fact, wait in line for an hour, a little over an hour for apple cider donuts. They were delicious. They were nice and warm. I got a whole dozen so that we could each have a few because if I was going to wait in line that long, I mean, granted, I did eat my lunch while I was waiting in line, so it's not like I just wasted a whole hour, but not worth it, honestly, especially with so much to see and do at the festival. So next time I'm going to beeline for the apple cider donuts, get them like right when it opens so that hopefully the line's not very long. That's my only hope. If I can't catch it, then I will just pass. They also had some really cool, they had some like, it seemed like some sheep competitions and like other auxiliary things that are not the marketplace that were not talked about as much because the marketplace is amazing, but also the weather was horrible. And so it was kind of hard to like figure out when events like that were happening, but I think it'd be really cool to see different sheep competitions and like there was like a chopstick knitting competition too. So it would have been fun to see more of that variety, but because of the weather, because of being exhausted, we just like didn't have the capacity to like keep going. If the weather had been nicer, it would have been easier to sit down, rest, relax, regroup, get ready for more, but that was not the case. And that's not the festival's fault. Things I would do the same. It was really fun going with my mom. As far as my daughter, she was a little hard to wrangle. So maybe she's not invited for a few more years until she can behave herself a little bit better, make it a little easier for us to keep track of her and that she wouldn't get sick of what we were doing. But yeah, it was really fun to go with my mom. I would love to go with other online friends. Tons of people did like Airbnbs as groups, and I think that'd be so fun to meet up with your online friends and to spend a like girls' weekend away. I would love to do something like that. So I think in the future, I will try to arrange something more along those lines than just staying with my family in a hotel. It's part of the experience of having a really great weekend with your friends. It was a good experience, a little overwhelming overall. So many, so much yarn, so many people, but I would definitely do it again to some extent, not Wool and Folk, but I would do the New York Sheep and Wool Festival again. I would love to see the other auxiliary events happening in the area. I would love to also explore the area more. Sleepy Hollow's like not too far south of there, you know, Saratoga Springs is not too far north. There's a couple really cool places in that general area, so it would have been fun to explore a little bit more. I do want to go to more fiber festival type events. Hopefully I can find ones that are a little less chaotic. I've heard great things about Flock, which I think that would also be a little bit of a busier one since it's gaining huge popularity and they've been really successful their first year. But I think I would definitely want to go to Flock this next year. I might make that happen. So let me know if you're going, if you want to see me there, because That would be really fun. If you have any other fiber festivals you want to recommend to me, because this was a really interesting experience and I'd love to see how they differ from one another, because I've only ever been to like one fiber event and it's way smaller in comparison. The Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair, which is in Utah in the spring. So let me know if you've had an experience, if you've ever been to Rhinebeck Weekend and done any and all of those things. Let me know what your favorite parts were, what you would do differently, what you would do the same, and I will catch you next time. Happy making. Bye!